still live a normal life. I'm living my best life.
What I'm saying is, were you the kid that?
I was the only child, so everything was by myself. I was privileged. We weren't rich, but we definitely weren't poor. I was privileged. I had everything that I wanted and everything that I didn't want. She still gave it to me. So I had Ataris and ColecoVisions and Commodore 64 computers. And back before you were born, that's when you had a little switch on the back of the TV that you had to move from TV to the device and stuff like that. We had cable, which was on TV and SpectraVision. It was a big box. That was all cable was. It was watching TV and engaging with my mother when she came home from work. Keeping my room clean, keeping the bathroom clean on the weekends. And here's the thing, as a child, it seemed normal. It didn't seem to be odd. If I went over to my cousin's house once a week or something like that, we kicked it, we hung out, we played outside and stuff like that, raked leaves. But at home, when I see individuals who don't have that same level of home experience, that it is up to me to try to change the quality or the conditions that prohibit them from being able to have such basic things that I had in life. They weren't over the top and things of that nature, but I just considered them to be average, that every house should have. Or if they don't have it, they should have the access to have it. F. Scott Fitzgerald talks about in The Great Gatsby, the different classes that are in society in America. And as we talk about the different classes, lower class for African Americans is completely different than lower class for other ethnicities. So there's no parallel. That makes it very difficult to compare one's experiences, one's upbringings to someone else's. I think that we really have to look at everybody as being individuals in how they're brought up, what their exposures have been, and then being able to identify if there are some things that need to be built upon. What was good for me may not absolutely be good for someone else. The bigger picture is making sure that there's equitable access, so that if it is that I am in the class that's considered to be lower class or lower middle class, that if I want to do better, if I want to change that level of life, I have the opportunities, I have the access to be able to do that. You may be able to get on the internet, but it may be slower. You may be on 3G because you're getting the free service through some of the government benefits that you're receiving, as opposed to someone who's paying $140 a month to get top of the line package. You still have access, but do you have equal access? It needs to be affordable for everybody. So I made a salad one day for lunch, and somebody saw that salad, and then it got to the point where people kept asking for a salad, and I decided that one Wednesday I was going to make all of these salads, and then everybody fell in love. They wanted salads every Wednesday. I decided that I wanted to go and start something and do something a little different, and I created the restaurant.
Salad restaurant?
Yes, Salad Eatery. Upscale, we're upscale. Had absolutely no clue about what it was to run a business. I just took my retirement money, I opened and bought the best of everything for the restaurant, and the thing that I did not have was a business license. I had an eatery and didn't have a food sanitation license. I didn't think about any of that, and I had no mentor for that. So those were things that I learned on my own. And I've always said since I started my business that the best thing that anybody can ever do is to tell you their failures, so that you can avoid some of those pitfalls along the way if you're starting in a new venture, that the journey doesn't have to be as deleterious as it was for me at the onset. Now, I'm good to go. I absolutely would change nothing. I really wouldn't, because those challenges have put me to where I am now. It's not guaranteed that life would have been better. It would have been different, but those challenges, those experiences may have left me at a worse position. So I wouldn't change anything. It doesn't mean the challenges don't present themselves, that I don't have hardships. Yeah, I do, but how do we deal with them? How do we meet those challenges? And I think that what I try to do is meet them with a positive aspect so that my children see that, and then it becomes a norm for them. Everything that we go through is not necessarily just isolated for us, but it is for us to be able to equip and empower others. If you accept the title of dad, then by default you are a nurturer. You can protect by nurturing. Oftentimes we equate protection just being making sure that the external publics don't violate your personal liberties. And what I'm saying is that to protect, or as a nurturer, that protection could be teaching financial responsibility, teaching civics, teaching values, so that you become a generalist. You're comprehensively aware of a lot more that positions you in capacities that don't allow you for failure. And that's the greatest protection that you can give. The ecumenical community is simply the faith-based community. The institution and individuals that are in that community. I was born into it. I was born Baptist, born around gospel singers, preachers, all of that, and it was mandatory that you went to church on Sunday, that you were there all day. That was Sunday school, morning service, afternoon service, evening service, all of that. And then the funny part is that whatever you had on Sunday was what you wore to school on Monday. Because you were just entirely too tired to iron and do all of that, and you just came home, you took your clothes off, and you wore it again on Monday. But that was my way of life, and I think that to get to where I needed to be as a nurturer, that I had to navigate through some personal challenges with the dogma of structured religion, and through those challenges, I've been able to identify what my purpose is for life, that I am spiritual and relational with God, but the traditions of the church are not for me. Whereas many churches will feed for Thanksgiving or feed for Christmas. What about the other 363 days of the year when individuals still need to be fed? I'm always disheartened when I see churches in a cluster that don't operate together to bear the burden of everybody. And I think that churches could do so much more if they would pool their resources. When I came back from Chicago, I was pastoring in Chicago for about 8 years, and when I came back to Memphis, a lot of my friends were saying, with this being the Bible Belt, are you going to go into ministry? And I was like, no, every corner down here has 1, 2, 3, or 4 churches. So the last thing we need are churches. But it hit me one night that the pastor and mayor are synonymous in their responsibilities of nurturing people. Things that we do in the church as ministries are actually programs at the city level. So why not become the pastor of the biggest mega church that we could possibly have, which is the city of Memphis, 675,000 citizens. The first thing that we do as soon as I get in office on January 1st, January 2nd, we start having motivational moments every morning. If the senior statesman of the city at 6 a.m. gives a 5-minute message of affirmation to speak positivity over your life, positivity over the city, that begins to change the culture of the city. Billions of dollars into this downtown area, but they live in Orange Mound and they get no development, no comparable, equitable development. You're saying to them tacitly, you're saying you don't matter and we don't care. And I'm saying you do matter. And the same message that we put out for downtown is the same message we put out in Whitehaven, in South Memphis, in East Memphis, in Raleigh, Fraser, everywhere. Everybody is a Memphian. It doesn't matter where you live. At the end of the day, if you live in the city of Memphis, you are a citizen of Memphis, and by right you are entitled to all of the benefits as any citizen. That means that you should have somewhere to lay your head at the end of the day. You should be able to afford food. You should be able to afford utility services. You should not have to choose whether or not you're going to eat or buy medicine. Everybody should have the same opportunities and accessibility to the same quality of life. I am Lemichael Deshaun Wilson, and this is me.